me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, gotta feel the tension. In my thoughts.
Welcome back, everybody. Hit that like, hit that subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Today, we are going to be going over, I think we've gone into a lot of videos talking about Jalen Ramsey and Xavier Howard and Javon Holland and all of those players on our team, but I think we have really not dived into what I think is the actual key to the defense. And that's going to be David Long. I think he's kind of gone under the radar when it comes to Dolphins news and what we're talking about. And what we really have to look at when it comes to David Long is that the guy can be a potential superstar if the injuries and if the potential that we see is actually there. That's why they signed him to a 2-year. And when it actually happened, everybody thought that this was the steal of free agency because David Long was looking like he was going to be one of the top linebackers in the league when he was on the Titans because he steadily progressed every year that he was in the league. If you look at what he was versus what he has become so far, you have to understand that David Long was a 6th-round pick by the Tennessee Titans. I think it was in 2019. I believe so. And he was a 6th-round pick. Now, you can consider that our 6th-round pick is Higgins or Ryan Hayes. Those are the picks that we have, which those guys, they're going to be struggling to make the roster, I believe. He was a 6th-round pick, 188. And he has steadily worked his way to not just becoming the starting linebacker for the Tennessee Titans, but to becoming a pretty decent linebacker on that team. So we'll dive into his stats. So obviously 2019, he's a 6th-round rookie, and he has a couple of tackles in that season. And then 2020 is when he became the started becoming the starter. 54 tackles total, 30 solo tackles, and he had a forced fumble, both forced fumbles in each of the first couple years that he was in the league. And then you go to 2021. See, if you look at the stat line, he's steadily progressing every year. So that year he got injured, and that's going to be the biggest issue with David Long, is that he tends to get injured, and it's sort of the issue of can you stay healthy? Because when he is healthy, he is a studly linebacker. He played 10 games that season, but he had 75 total tackles, 46 solo tackles, and 2 interceptions that year with 10 games. So obviously, yes, and 6 passes deflected. You have 10 games in a season, and he had that many tackles, which is pretty incredible, like you're seeing. And we'll go to 2022, 12 games. He missed some games that season, but 86 total tackles, 52 solo tackles, 2 interceptions, and 5 passes deflected. It's one of those things. We have to look at, this is the key right now, is I think a lot of us are a little bit kind of not sure about the linebacker position that we have right now for the Dolphins, but when you look at it, if David Long can stay on the field, all signs show that he is going to be a premier linebacker, and he's going to be very, very good in this league. I think we might have had the same similarity with like Carlos Dansby, I think it was, back in the day where he used to get injured. I think he was with the Cardinals before and then came to us and he stayed on the field and he became a really good linebacker for that like middle period of the 2000s. And I think this could be a very similar thing. And what's the difference is we are getting him when he's 26. So he's still in his prime of his career. If David Long can stay healthy, I think he's the key to this defense because he's essentially a better Jerome Baker. Jerome Baker is okay. He'll be who he is. But I think David Long is that the version that we think Jerome Baker, or that we want Jerome Baker to be. And if he can stay healthy, I mean, one of the biggest problems we had last year, which David Long will solve that, is pass coverage from the linebackers most of the time. And there was a lot of times that we were getting beat by tight ends because our linebackers could not cover tight ends. David Long can do that. He is pretty good at intercepting the ball, as we've seen with his statistics. He is just going to be a premier option if he can stay on the field, and that is the key here. But what we also have to consider as well is he's only been in the league for 4 years. So the injuries kind of happened the last couple of years. He missed a couple games in the beginning of his first 2 years, but obviously you're kind of molding to the NFL and you're a physical linebacker, so that might happen. It's just what you do in order to get yourself conditioned and hopefully being able to hit in a way that you won't get injured the next time. But when you look at the statistics, David Long, all signs are showing that he can be premier. He can be a superstar. He can be the key to this defense. This happens plenty of times in the NFL where there are plenty of players that come into the league and, they have their injury problems, but when they get them solved, it is a different story. The injuries that he had were soft tissue issues. So these are things that are correctable. What we have to really consider is that sometimes when you are younger, you don't take care of your body in the way that you should, and that's sometimes why the younger guys get injured a little bit more. What if he has learned how to take care of his body in a way that is sustainable? You have a linebacker that has showcased that he can really be great. We're taking that shot on him, and what it could turn into is it could turn into possibly, the next couple of years we have a really good linebacker manning the center of the field. That is what we need. We haven't had that since Carlos Dansby, and I think it's just been a struggle to get a linebacker to do the job that he used to do. Every team revolves around a linebacker system. You have the safeties, you have the corners and all that, but the linebackers are the guys, they're basically the centers of the field that call out most of the things happening because, one, they're the closest to the offensive line, and two, they are the ones that should be knowing most of the playbook and how it's designed. It's basically the quarterback of the defense. So I think that David Long is going to have a premier year this year, and I think he's the key, really. If he stays on the field, I think this defense is unstoppable. It's really going to be something that is just awesome to watch if he stays on the field. Obviously, if he does it, we're going to have to figure out the backups. Channing Till's not looking too great. But if David Long stays on the field, it's going to be a mismatch on all of our defensive front. You have two corners that are great, you have safeties that are good, and then you have the linebackers that are doing great too, and then the defensive line. It will be unreal. If he stays on the field, it's just going to be one of those things that I don't even know how you face a defense like this. And then on top of that, you have, the top coach in the entire league coaching them. I mean, it's wild. So, yeah, I just wanted to make a quick video discussing how David Long is really going to be just something that, if he stays healthy, man, I mean, this defense is going to be shut down. It is going to be just nuts to watch. But as always, hope you have a great rest of your day. Fins up, baby. Peace.